Kia ora and hello. I'm meteorologist Chester Lampkin for Earth Sciences New Zealand. We are back in your feed to talk about yet another tropical low pressure center that is moving out of the tropics southward across parts of New Zealand. It is expected to be near New Zealand on the weekend. So as we record this video here on Thursday afternoon, it's in your feed by Thursday evening into Friday morning. You'll want to keep frequent updates with the weather throughout this duration of this event here as it impacts New Zealand throughout your weekend. Our friends over at the Metservice have already issued weather warnings for this potential tropical low. I want to show you just the tropical moisture moving southward. This is our relative humidity map, and you can see these deep colors, these deeper blues here. That's 90 to 100% humidity. It is going to be sticky humid across the country for parts of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the bulk of the humidity in the North Island. That's indicative of that area of low pressure moving southward and into the country. And you can see how it kind of curls around back towards Aotearoa, New Zealand, heading into Sunday. And that's that area of low pressure that's going to sort of curl up and over the North Island. So what it's going to do is going to sink southward out of the tropics and curl up and over East Cape, and then eventually it ends up somewhere just to the east or southeast of New Zealand over the next few days. So I'm going to show you a couple global models that we have access to that sort of paints the picture of this system moving across New Zealand here over the next several days here. And I want to start with the precipitation map. You can see that low showing up here. So I'm going to reset the timeline, take it back to the beginning of the map here. So Thursday, 4 o'clock. And you can see that system moving in from the west. That's the cold front that we're going to be tracking here, moving across the South Island. As it moves through the South Island here on Friday, you'll notice a southwest southerly change here. Temperatures are going to drop behind it. You'll get a burst of rain, shower, and thunderstorm activity as the system moves through here throughout the South Island. Friday morning, impacting the fjords, Southland, Stewart Island area, and parts of the west coast by the early morning hours on Friday, and eventually it moves farther to the north and east. This southwest change by afternoon is moving across Canterbury, up towards the Kaikoura, and over towards the Abel Tasman area and down through the Nelson region as well and into Marlborough. In the meantime, we're also going to be tracking this fetch of moisture that's going to allow thunderstorms to bubble up and erupt across the North Island during the afternoon hours on Friday. Eventually, this system really gets going late in the evening, overnight Friday into Saturday morning. Here's the low right here on Saturday morning, located north of New Zealand. That's when the low is really starting to gather its strength. It's starting to form. And at this time, as that cold front has already moved through the South Island and now moving across through the North Island, I'm going to transfer some of that energy into that low. And what it's going to allow this to happen, what is going to occur is that we're going to see this low strengthen over the period of Saturday and Sunday. So by Sunday morning, the low is located now pretty much due east or just to the southeast of the North Island, to the northeast of the South Island. There, the impacts may lessen somewhat for New Zealand heading into Sunday before the system sort of moves backwards, or what we call retrograde somewhat, moves closer to New Zealand. You don't usually see areas of low pressure move from east to west across the country, but that's what's going to happen with this system as the low deepens or strengthens, and that's going to allow a return of rain across parts of the North Island, especially the lower north and parts of the South Island. We're going to see more areas of rain, and it could be on the heavier side. Very concerned about the potential for strong gusty winds as well across this region right on through Monday. So Monday, 7 a.m., you can see the low is just sitting off to the south and east of the North Island. So it's essentially just moved sort of in a circle. I'm going to roll it back just a little bit, back to Saturday morning, and notice how that low moves right across into the east of the North Island, and then it curls back towards the South Island. At this time, by Sunday evening into Monday morning, we have a pretty steady southeasterly onshore flow for the South Island. So places like the Marlborough region right at the coast, Kaikoura, North Canterbury, and maybe even as far south as Banks Peninsula and Christchurch, there could be some heavy rainfall associated with this low as it backtracks towards New Zealand. In addition to that, the lower North Island, coastal areas of the Wairarapa, down through Wellington as well, and parts of the Manawatu and Hawke's Bay region could end up getting an additional dose of heavy rain heading into Monday and Tuesday as well as that low curls around. Eventually, it does finally start to pull away from New Zealand, but it's going to be just to the east of the country through Tuesday and Wednesday, impacting the Chatham Islands, and we'll continue to see showers across parts of the east of the South Island and perhaps a few showers for the lower North Island as well. So this is just one of our many models that we'll look at. This is one what we call model solution. It gives you an idea of what to expect. So how much rain do we get out of this system? Well, it could be a fair amount. I'm going to show you the global, the high resolution models shortly. I want to get into what's showing up here on our the GFS model. Very similar. It's a global model that shows a very similar track to the low. Where it spins up may be slightly different than what the UM model was showing, but the idea is that all the computer model solutions or all the information we're looking at is pointing to this low sinking southward out of the tropics and then sort of hanging out just to the east of the North Island and perhaps just to the east of the South Island as well. So we've reset the time clock and we've gone back here to Thursday evening, a little bit after this video is recorded. You can see there's the front moving in from the Tasman, and then here is approximately that low right there just to the north of North Cape and Cape Reinga, and eventually it does develop and move south towards New Zealand. So this is Friday afternoon. Fronts moving through the South Island, and then that tropical moisture sinking southward from the north across parts of the country, especially the North Island. We're going to get some thundery downpours across the North Island on Friday afternoon and into the evening hours as that tropical moisture continues to funnel in. That low strengthens right about here. Here's 6 in the morning on 7 in the morning on Saturday. You can see the low there, and you can see it sink southward. I'm going to move the camera in a little bit closer. You can see it sink southward towards the North Island and just miss the Gisborne region. Even though it's going to stay east of Gisborne, there is potential for 100, maybe upwards of a couple hundred millimeters of rain for parts of Gisborne, especially about East Cape into the ranges here throughout the weekend. So heavy rain warnings have already been issued by our friends over at the Metservice. You want to stay up to date with them on the latest watches and warnings. We're going to take this map all the way through Sunday morning. And similar to that model I showed you earlier, there's the low just parked right off to the east and southeast of the North Island. Eventually, as it strengthens, it sort of just sits and just kind of rotates around here across parts of the South Pacific, right off the shore. Here, the model has it very strong, fairly deep area of low pressure, almost due east of Kaikoura by Monday at 6 in the morning, and it's going to continue to pump moisture up into Canterbury, Marlborough, and the lower North Island. So this could end up being a decent rain event, again, from Wellington and over to Masterton and south towards perhaps even Blenheim, Kaikoura, and down through the Hamner Springs area and down through Banks Peninsula and Christchurch. The farther south you live in Canterbury, you're not likely to see as much heavy rain, and probably as far south as Timaru, probably not much rain at all out of the system. We'll take this all the way to the end of where the model stops. I stopped the model at 6 in the morning on Thursday. You can see on Tuesday, next week, and the low is still sitting to the east of the country. Eventually, it does peel off to the east and eventually gets moved out of New Zealand, but it is being blocked by this region of high pressure that is sitting right over here, and this blocking pattern is what's causing the system to sort of slow down and what we call retrograde back into the country. So this is a sort of indicative of what we're expecting over the days to come. You can see, again, on the global model, we're going to run it back all the way to the beginning. You can see that low, that front, grunty front Thursday night into Friday, move across the South Island, and eventually we spin up that low right about there. You can see the spin there in the atmosphere. That's the low forming and moving south, and then eventually westward back towards New Zealand Sunday, Monday, before it moves slowly towards the east, away from the country. Let's look at the high-resolution models. I want to start with our New Zealand ensemble, and it is one of our higher-resolution models in comparison to what we see in the globals. But what's important about the New Zealand ensemble is it is essentially the same model, but we change the model physics just slightly so we can get different answers, and it gives us the ability to sort of calculate a percentage of or the probability of something occurring. For example, in this particular map, we're showing the rainfall scenarios across all of New Zealand. We have a 50th percentile scenario, the middle of the scenarios of this New Zealand ensemble, or several runs of the same model. And then we have the 90th percentile, which is on the higher end. The 10th percentile is on the lower end. And so this gives you an idea of a range of possibilities of the rain that could fall, or in other cases, we can do this to look at wind, temperature, all sorts of elements. But the idea is that here, we're pretty confident that at the very least, if you look in that middle map there, that 50th percentile, there are a lot of areas showing up in the North Island from Wellington, Wairarapa, through the Manawatu, through Hawke's Bay and Gisborne, and even parts of the Bay of Plenty, especially the eastern Bay of Plenty, where we're likely to see 50 to upwards of 100 mils of rain, and that's in the 50th percentile scenario. I'm going to show you this full screen so you can see this map here on the right. This is the 90th percentile solution, and while it's not likely to happen, it is in the realm of possibilities that some parts of the North Island could end up with 100 to 200 millimeters of rain. So this would be the heavy rain scenario here on the right, that 90th percentile. And then on the far left here is the 10th percentile. Again, not likely to happen, but in the realm of possibilities that we could get less rain than what is forecast. That means some of the various solutions of the model, or the answers of the model is giving us, is on the lower end. So the idea is that somewhere we'll end up somewhere in between this 10th and 90th percentile. On the heavy side, upwards of 1 to 200 millimeters of rain, but on the lighter side, it would be more akin of 10, 20, upwards of 30, 40. At the heaviest, you can see up towards East Cape, and then parts of the Tauruas. At the heaviest, it would be more like 40 to 50 mils of rain. Again, the 10th and the 90th percentile, while not likely to happen, it is in the realm of possibility, but it gives you an idea of what to expect, a range of possibilities of potential rain across the country. So that's our New Zealand ensemble. I want to get in a little bit closer and show you the North Island a little bit more specifically, and we'll run it back to the very beginning of the model. Here we go back to Friday early morning, and then we'll take it all the way through Monday morning, and you can see the heaviest rain potential. If you're just looking here on the 50th percentile and the 90th percentile, it all shows up here, right, in the ranges of Hawke's Bay and about East Cape and down through the Mahia Peninsula there in parts of the Hawke's Bay and Gisborne regions. So, again, East Cape, about Gisborne, and, again, parts of the Hawke's Bay region, and then the Tauruas and down through the Wairarapa. So this could end up a fairly heavy rain event for parts of the North Island. All right, lastly, I want to show you our high-resolution model. This is our New Zealand CSM. Now, this particular model, it runs all the way out through Friday evening, and we'll get several new runs of this between now and tomorrow, so we'll be back on your feed to talk more about the potential for heavy rain on the weekend. But I wanted to pull this one out because this one is a good, it's a high-resolution model, and it covers New Zealand, and what's important about it is that it gives you a good idea of what to expect when it comes to the convection or thunderstorm activity. So we do expect thundery downpours with this front that moves in and this tropical low moving south heading into Friday. So this is Friday morning. We start 6 in the morning. You can see that front, quite grunty in nature, moving in towards Fiordland. And I'm going to move the camera in just a little bit closer. You can see that heavy rainfall there about Fiordland, moving in towards western Southland. We'll get a brief period of heavy falls about Stewart Island, Invercargill towards 7, 8 in the morning, and then even some isolated shower in the top of the south. Now, we're still relatively peaceful in the North Island to start the day on Friday. Don't be fooled. It's good to have the rain gear nearby because by the time we get into the afternoon hours, we start to bubble up those thunderstorms that we were talking about. You can see the model's trying to put down some quick moving or quick downpours, I should say, with these thunderstorms that pop up here 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon here on your Friday. So again, it has some thunderstorms in around the Waikato, southward into Taranaki and over towards the Manawatu, and you could even see a couple of thundery downpours into the Wairarapa. And in the upper South Island, we also have the potential to pick up some hefty thunderstorms about the Marlborough region, Tasman, Nelson, and across Westland as well. So we'll have to watch for a period of downpours, Hokitika, Greymouth by afternoon, perhaps some rain getting into the Canterbury region as well, Banks Peninsula, Christchurch again, Methvin, areas like that in the afternoon through the early evening hours on Friday. Taking you back to the North Island, want to move it back north, you can see these downpours showing up here on the computer modeling. So these areas of purple would be very heavy rain on the order of 25 to 40 millimeters per hour under individual thunderstorms. So some areas will get these thundery downpours. Some areas it'll be more hit or miss or more miss, meaning that not everyone will get the heavy rain. But if you do get some downpour activity, it could lead to some quick surface flooding across parts of the area. And with that surface flooding, you have to be mindful of low water crossings and the fact that some areas, flood-prone areas, may quickly flood as these thunderstorms move overhead on Friday afternoon through Friday evening. This is Friday evening, 8 o'clock, and you can see thunderstorm activity still stretching from the Waikato all the way down through Hawke's Bay. Looks like the bullseye may be across the Central Plateau towards Tongariro as well, and maybe perhaps down through the Tauruas, and perhaps even over to Palmerston North and Dannevirke, and perhaps parts of the Wairarapa as well. So it's something that we'll be monitoring and keeping an eye on through your Friday afternoon. Even again, our friends over at Metservice have issued some watches and warnings for the North Island for the potential for this heavy rain Friday, Saturday into Sunday as well. I'm going to show you the lightning, and this could be a prolific lightning maker too. That's another element that we'll be keeping an eye on for Friday. And look at the lightning map here. That's one of the things our high resolution modeling does. The NZCSM does show you the potential for lightning across the North Island, and everyone has the potential to pick up some hefty thunderstorms. Again, it's going to be hit or miss, meaning some areas won't see much, and other areas could see a fair amount of thunderstorm activity. And how much rain do we get? Well, these are just computer-driven estimates, but I'm going to plot on the map here so you can see the potential for some of the heaviest downpours could lead to a quick 50 to 100 mils total of rain if you get caught over multiple downpours. You can see some of these showing up here in the Wairarapa, the Manawatu, over towards Hawke's Bay, on the order of 50, 70, 80, 90, 100 millimeters of rain with a quick moving set of downpours. If you get multiple thunderstorms to move over the same areas, you could end up with heavy amounts of rain in a short period of time. So again, this is just from the thunderstorm activity that we would see on Friday. More thunderstorms are possible Saturday, primarily Tauranga and Tongariro and Taupo and places to the east. So primarily the Eastern Bay of Plenty, the Ranges, Hawke's Bay, Gisborne, but even some of the low country locations there, and perhaps parts of the Manawatu and over towards the Wairarapa. The farther west and south you are, though, less likely to see thunderstorms on Saturday. In fact, our New Zealand LAM model, I'm going to show you that just briefly because it does go out into Saturday. You can see the thunderstorm activity does exist on the model, but you see the heaviest rain right there, primarily in eastern parts of the North Island, as that low moves off to the east and southeast from the tropics and just east of East Cape. Eventually, it does, again, return and move back towards New Zealand heading into Sunday and Monday, as I showed you on the global modeling. So, again, pretty impressive tropical setup here with the moisture, the sticky, humid air that's going to be coming our way here in the days to come, and a pretty grunty front coming in from the southwest. So I've spent enough time talking. Hopefully you stayed with most of the video. We appreciate you stopping by. We'll have another update, of course, on the NEO app and website, and of course our friends over at Metservice watching this carefully. So you'll want to check in with them on watches and warnings. Plan your weekend accordingly. Know the weather before you head out, with the potential for heavy rain, again, especially for the North Island and even parts of the South Island in the days to come. Again, I'm Chester Lampkin. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.